At the start of the previous year, my name is Scarlet, and I found extreme enjoyment in gourmet foods, which unfortunately led to putting on 5 kilograms. Now, as a 43-year-old, I'm embarking on a weight loss journey in preparation for the festive holiday season. The strategy is straightforward. Shed the pounds now so that I can savor the holiday delights without worry. This seems like an ideal approach, considering the array of delicious treats from Christmas to New Year's. It's a delightful dilemma to encounter. Perhaps I'll even allow myself some Valentine's Day chocolates. I'm already savoring the thought. Yet, as it seems, each year might end up tacking on a few additional pounds. Allow me to share with you a winter story from when I was 23. Having dated for some years, my engagement to my partner, David, was on the brink of happening. The moment had arrived for him to be introduced to my family, a formal meeting that suggested future marriage plans. Fortunately, my parents were fond of David, creating a promising platform for discussions regarding our future. However, an unexpected twist ensued with the arrival of my elder sister, Amara, returning home from work. Evidently, she was inexplicably captivated by David. Sisters have a knack for picking up on these things, and it became apparent that Amara experienced love at first sight. Initially, I believed it to be a temporary infatuation, but during their introduction, her rosy cheeks and clutch on his hand revealed a deeper affection. Her dreamy look was unmistakable, although it seemed improper for her to behave this way with my fiancé. I attributed her actions to an uncontrollable crush and decided to overlook it, believing she would not act on these feelings. Yet, after David's departure, it escalated. Fresh from the shower, clad in merely a towel, Amara confronted me, insisting I call off the engagement. She accused David of being unfaithful and suggested I could find someone more suitable. Her accusations had no backing. Only a woman's intuition was her evidence. Since Amara had never been in a relationship, it was difficult to give weight to her intuition. I trusted David, whom I had known for years, focusing on nurturing our relationship rather than getting involved in my sister's drama. Naturally, I didn't take my sister's remarks earnestly and dismissed her with a nonchalant reply, assuring her I'd be cautious. After this incident, David began visiting our home more regularly. He genuinely wished to cultivate strong ties with my family, which I found considerate. I was optimistic this would aid in establishing a positive rapport with my parents, who were rather pleased with him. I envisioned a harmonious future with him. Yet, my sister's antics led to an awkward scenario. David reported her behavior to me. When I wasn't around, she'd act overly familiar, clutching his arm, pressing close, and even questioning my maturity by asking, "Don't you think Scarlet is a bit immature?" She even requested his contact information and staged a tumble exposing her underwear. To David, her attempts were more humorous than tempting, which was fortunate since if he had been susceptible to such come-ons, it might have been troubling. Despite her assertive actions, Amara possibly believed she stood a chance with David, given he couldn't dismiss her directly due to family ties. Every meeting would begin with her sweetly calling out, hoping to win him over. It wasn't just infatuation for Amara. She was also drawn because David was associated with a reputable large firm, appearing as a quintessential catch who could assure a secure future. "He's reliable, has an appealing face, and is a good man," she often stated, clearly infatuated. All this went unnoticed or unremarked upon by our parents, whose silence on her inappropriate behavior wasn't unusual for them, as they had always been somewhat passive. Historically, addressing my sister Amara's antics has been a unique challenge. As the eldest daughter, she has often received special treatment from our parents, while I've been subtly assigned to support her behind the scenes. My parents seem to have indulged her, perhaps viewing her as less capable and deserving of extra attention. For example, when tasked with heating side dishes, she would mistakenly use a non-heat-resistant plastic dish, leading to a melted mess. Her academic and athletic endeavors have also been less than stellar. She frequently skipped swimming lessons, citing various ailments, such as a sore foot or skin issues. Similarly, her performance in household chores has been lackluster. Despite these shortcomings, she had a talent for being at the center of drama, like the recent issue involving David. David, my fiancé, did not reciprocate her feelings, which caused friction on the eve of our wedding. I overheard her voicing her frustration to our parents about the traditional sibling marriage order. She lamented, "I can't accept that my younger sister is getting married before me," to which they tried to reassure her, "Don't worry, you'll find a good partner soon too, Amara." However, the notion that the elder sister should marry first lingered. The situation escalated when my sister demanded our parents skip the wedding, saying, "I'm going to be the pitiful older sister surpassed by my younger sister." Shockingly, my parents conceded to her request, agreeing not to attend my wedding. It felt like they had fallen into a collective mindset where Amara's preferences took precedence over everything else. I was stunned. It was as if my wedding was sidelined simply because Amara harbored feelings for David. Despite my efficiency and capability, my family's dynamics had always leaned towards prioritizing my sister's needs. I began challenging this imbalance as I matured, valuing my achievements, especially academically. Our relationship was strained slightly by my rebellion, but never severe enough to hinder our communication. The wedding day, however, promised little joy for me. I stayed awake the night before, consumed by anxiety, not anticipation, but a gnawing dread recalling the conversation I had overheard. At the venue, the absence of my parents loomed large, a silent testament to my sister's unresolved affections. It was a difficult responsibility for me to explain to David and his parents why my own family wouldn't be present at the wedding. I said I was sorry, but explained that my sister was against the marriage, meaning my family decided not to attend. This revelation was heart-wrenching to express. David's parents were taken aback, finding it hard to accept that a family would not attend their own daughter's wedding. The in-laws were silent, absorbing the gravity of the situation while feeling the tense atmosphere. My mother-in-law held my hand, and my father-in-law placed his hand on top of ours, reminding me that our family is here. Let's try not to make this day a sorrowful one. With warmth, my mother-in-law encouraged me to smile, offering the love and support that my own family lacked at such a crucial moment. As I stood there on my wedding day, tears started to form in my eyes, but David joined me, gently caressing my head, reassuring me, "Marianne, I'm here for you as your husband, so don't let the absence of others worry you." Seeing that I was about to cry, my in-laws and David attempted to cheer me up quickly. "Don't cry. You're the bride, and you don't want your makeup to run," they teased in half-joking attempts to lighten the mood. My mother-in-law then looked at me earnestly, giving me advice. "Marianne, it might be difficult with your current family situation, but today marks the beginning of a beautiful new life. Let's focus on building your own family." Despite feeling abandoned, I felt a determined embrace from my mother-in-law, with David and my father-in-law joining too. I told myself, just like my mother-in-law had said, this was a new beginning, and I would focus on creating a happy family. That day, David and I got married, marking the start of our life together. 13 years have elapsed since then. David and I have been blessed with 3 children, a capable daughter who seems to excel at anything and 2 playful sons who love creating little mischief around the house. I sometimes catch myself shouting, "Stop it now," surprising even myself at how much I've come to sound like a mom in command. David's career has blossomed. We've purchased a house and lived a fulfilling and stable life. Then one day, unexpected figures appeared on our doorstep: my father, my mother, and my sister. After the wedding, I distanced myself from the family and never shared my new address, yet they somehow found us and arrived unannounced. Naturally, my words to them weren't welcoming like, "Long time no see," but rather, "What do you want?" To which my sister answered, "I have a favor to ask of you." My parents interjected, "It's something only you can do for us." Looking at me intently, I was perplexed, unsure of what they could possibly want from me after being estranged for 13 years. I remained silent, half curious and half wary as my mother spoke up. "We want you to give David to your sister." Both David and I were taken aback by her words. "Wait a minute, what do you mean, give David away?" I asked, utterly befuddled and worried by the strange request. When I sharply questioned them, my parents avoided eye contact with guilt, whereas my sister stood there with a confident demeanor. Despite being 40 and still single, She seemed unaware of her predicament, which now included unemployment because her company had recently shut down. "It's tough," my father explained. "We're concerned about your sister's future as she's single and without work. We hope you can understand and feel the same for your sister as family." Inside, I rejected their reasoning with a firm "no, I don't think so," but outwardly stayed silent, curious about what they might say next. My frustration escalated as my father continued slowly, each word sounding more preposterous than the last. "She's always liked David, and is still alone because of that. You've had your time with David, haven't you? Could you please let your sister have him for the remainder of her life?" "What do you mean?" I asked, incredulous. David was equally astonished, grappling with words. Meanwhile, my parents persisted in pleading, and my sister remained there steadfast, confident in her unrighteous stance. Her confident demeanor was unwavering, convinced that her outrageous request would be granted. Given my parents' tendency to indulge her, it wasn't surprising she believed she would get what she wanted. As I stood there, bewildered, David discreetly pulled me aside and whispered, "This might actually be a chance to end all this insanity. Remember that joke you made when you were drunk? It's like it's coming to life." Feeling bolder, we faced my family again. "Do you truly love David that much?" I asked her as she was visibly taken aback by my straightforward question. "Yes, I have loved him all this time," she stammered, shock apparent in her voice. "That's a long time to love someone who is married to another," I noted. Her response was filled with certainty. "It's been very painful watching you two together. It should have been me," she declared, her words intense. Stunned by her statement, David and I struggled to keep our composure. Deciding to play along with the charade a bit longer, I said, "If you really love him that much, I'll step aside," shocking everyone, especially our parents. "Really? Don't you love David too?" My mother quickly interjected.
No, y replía.
David played his role too, chiming in, "Honestly, I've always had feelings for Amara." My sister's face lit up with delight. "Really? I knew it," she exclaimed. As the surreal exchange continued, David and I watched, struggling to contain our laughter at the absurdity we were orchestrating. The truth was that David and I were solidly united, but sometimes embracing a ludicrous scenario was the only way to spotlight its ridiculousness. As I hugged David, I noticed the playful twinkle in his eyes. "I've been waiting for this moment," he said, his voice quivering with suppressed laughter. Beside me, David pretended to cry, his shaking shoulders betraying him. "We just have to get through this little performance," I whispered. "We'll always be together from now on." Suddenly my sister began speaking with David as if they had shared intimacy for years, narrating a romantic saga she'd imagined for the past 13 years. "Amara, I'm happy. Please be my support from now on," David said with a grin. "Yes, absolutely," she eagerly replied. "So, I'm quitting my job," David announced, erasing the blush from my sister's face, replacing it with shock. "I want to be with you, Amara, all the time. So I'm quitting my job to always be by your side. I won't even go outside anymore. I'll follow you to the bathroom and watch you do housework," David continued, his tone jovial, leaving my sister flustered and panicked. Our parents could no longer hide their discomfort. "But I'm not working either, and this is troubling," she stammered. "What's troubling? If we're together, we have nothing to fear. We don't need money to be happy," David persisted, pushing the absurdity further. "But nowadays we need to pay for insurance, right? It's not like the old times. We can't love each other if there's no money." Seizing the moment, I added, "David, if we end up divorcing, I'll be taking a generous share of the assets, so you better pay up." "Don't worry, your sister and parents will handle all the payments," David laughed. Hearing this, our parents paled, looking at each other in disbelief. "Amara, this is difficult to say, but isn't it wrong to take your sister's husband?" "Exactly, Amara. That is true," I added, but where did all the earlier passion go? It seemed like our parents had suddenly become aware of the situation. "What are you talking about? You promised to give David to me," Amara protested. "But Amara, that was before," I interjected. "I don't want to hear it," our mother interjected. Doesn't anyone stand by me? My sister ranted as she grabbed our mother's hair, while my father struggled to mediate the chaos. In the commotion, David calmly captured everyone's attention. To be honest, you are not my type. I respect you as Marianne's sister, but beyond that, I don't. My sister's expression was pale as she walked towards David. I stepped in between them, stopping the situation from escalating. We have a family, and we are living happily, I stated firmly. Her face flushed red with frustration, tears welling up in her eyes. You deceived me, she exclaimed, turning to face me. How can you believe that someone who hasn't reached out for 13 years harbors love for you? Isn't that unrealistic? I challenged, hoping to convey some sense. David's honesty left our parents and my sister in shock. Amara demanded an explanation from David. David, what was all that earlier? I concluded firmly. Stop being so casual with someone else's husband. There's no possibility he could fall for you. Observing the truth of my words, my sister's frustration evolved into loud crying, while our parents were left in a state of realization and confusion. David snickered quietly at the truth presented. I'm not handing over David, so please give up, Amara, I stated with resolve. At this, my sister's sobbing only grew more intense, appearing childlike and inappropriate for her age. If you were truly an appealing option, maybe, but nobody finds desirability in someone who is unemployed, relies on parents, and lacks self-sufficiency because their mother has always taken care of everything. I continued, my words sharp. Our parents, trying to console her, began acknowledging the reality of their indulgence. Learn from this incident and don't involve yourself with us again. Regardless of the troubles you face in the future, don't expect assistance from us, I declared, feeling the weight of my words. As I slowly shut the front door, my children inquired about the events. I responded lightheartedly. It's Halloween season, so it seems a ghost arrived early. My eldest jokingly remarked, let's exorcise the spirit, the sounds of my sister's cries intensifying the eerie feeling of a haunted presence. 4 years passed, with my sister remaining single, finally securing a job but then losing it due to inappropriate behavior. Her impulsive marriage, leading to resultant issues, got her barred from matchmaking. It seems likely she may remain single forever. My parents tirelessly work part-time, saving diligently for her, probably realizing now that her care for them in the future is an unreliable prospect. After their hard-earned lessons, I hope they grasp the consequences of their indulgence. Fortunately, I've been relieved from worrying about my children's school fees due to their diligence and my husband's stable income. As a homemaker, sometimes I ponder whether working could help shed festive weight gain. My daughter, naturally slim and burgeoning into her growth spurt, has recently spoken of dieting. I advise, think about that when you're older like me. I tell her, my 2 sons, passionate about dance, have gained recognition at local events, winning awards. They dream of joining BTS, fueling my hope that the band stays together for them. We're blessed with frequent visits from my dear in-laws. The enjoyable meals we savor together with the exciting plans for a spa trip during spring break are eagerly anticipated for family bonding. Despite obstacles before marriage, my life now overflows with happiness, reinforcing genuine family ties. I cherish the happiness enveloping my days, looking forward to many years of good health and sharing countless precious moments with loved ones.